excited to be catching up today with our very first grand prize winner of the Songbook South Vocal Competition here in Shreveport, and that's Mr. Caleb Freeman. So, everybody, welcome in and meet Caleb again. We are so excited to be talking to you, Caleb, and I know that when last we heard from you, or you were down here doing a lot of stuff with Songbook. You had just done a few big band things, and you were still in college up in Wichita, and you were singing with the big band up there. And we had gotten on lockdown. You were coming down here to do a gig for us with the symphony, and then we a week out we got locked out, which I'm
Yeah.
we did have you on one of those Zoom things with Richard Glazier, which
Yes.
really nicely. But tell us what's been going on since then. How was your transfer from coming out of college and getting into the professional world? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting because during COVID and the lockdown and all that, it was really weird because it was my junior year whenever we locked down. And it's funny because that January I went to a not theater competition, but like a convention,
Mhm.
and I auditioned for like summer stock shows, and I got into one where it was a production of Grease, and it was in Bemidji, and then COVID hit, and then just everything just shut down. So a lot of it was just kind of like, what do I do now? It's like, is theater coming back? Um, but senior year, it was just kind of like, it was that in between of like, we were in classes, we were not. It was really weird. But like 2 weeks before I was supposed to graduate, I get an email from the theater company doing Grease. And they said, "Oh yeah, we're redoing that season, so we're wanting to ask if you wanted to do that part." And I was like, yeah, sure. And in that in between time, I also auditioned for Little Shop at Wichita State University, and I was, right before I was supposed to leave for Bemidji, I get a call that said, "Hey, we would like you to play Seymour in our production." So, so it was cool because like, not only was I was going to do that Grease production, and then like I had to book it 2 days later to Wichita and start rehearsals for a Little Shop. So I was really blessed to really get back into doing theater. After that, I went back home and I started doing substitute teaching, um, which was nice because I had a free schedule to audition and, just to still do what I love, but, still have my job.
All
And
right.
so, but so I did that for a year, and I saw a audition call for Adam's Family, the musical, which was back at Wichita. So I got Uncle Fester in that musical. I'll tell you what, like my theater experience has been just like, there's just been a little pause in time, and then it's just bam, bam, bam. So because like I'm in the rehearsal for Adam's Family, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna throw in my hat for Sight and Sound Theaters, which is a Christian theater in Branson, Missouri, and they have a branch in Pennsylvania too. But so I sent in an audition tape, and 2 days later, I get a call from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they're like, "Hey, this is Sight and Sound Theaters. How you doing?" I'm like, "Good." I was just shocked because I was like, "I'm getting a call now," and he's like, "You're probably shocked you're getting a call now." I'm like, "You heard, you read my mind." But long story short, they were calling me back for Jesus, production of Jesus, and they called me back for John, one of Jesus's disciples. Um, and it was in Branson, Missouri, which I was like, great. I mean, the easy transition if I get in. So did that whole audition process. It was all over, video and Zoom and all that. And I got into it. And uh, was able to finish the production of Adam's Family. And then July 1st, grabbed all my stuff. And then I moved to Branson, Missouri to start rehearsals for that production. And so that was about a 2 week, 2.5 week rehearsal process to kind of just first kind of walk through, because if you've seen a production of Sight and Sounds, any production, the stage is huge. It's
Mm-hmm.
ginormous, and even like the set pieces, especially this one, there was tons of moving like sets and all that, and um, it just was a lot. So, but 2.5 weeks in, we get everything ready, get my costume on and everything, and then it was just all right. See you next week, and I started. I started my whole process with them, and I've been there ever since. For this will be 3.5 years this year.
My goodness. I was telling Tom, I said, I think he's been there for 3 years now. I could have
Yeah,
lost a year in there somewhere, but that's amazing. So you've just kind of found your theater family, haven't you? You've
yes.
been doing multiple shows with them. You've done Jesus, you've done Esther. There was another one in the middle there. What did I?
Miracle of Christmas, which is the Nativity. Right now, I'll be doing David, so I'm in David right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're just kind of like continuing with this. I mean, this is like your home now.
Yeah.
So are you thinking that you might audition for other things? Or are you just gonna kind of stick here until?
Yeah. I mean, I really like Sight and Sound. I mean, I the community here is, being a Christian, it's kind of the best of both worlds,
Mhm.
to get to act and to, you know, keep keep your faith, I mean, yeah, I mean, in regular theater, yes, you can be a Christian, but it's not the same to kind of share that with other people, because there's just tons of different beliefs and all that. So it's really just a really kind of safe space almost.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I mean, we're meetings before we start, we pray, and I think it's just amazing, just kind of the community that Sight and Sound has here. I've never seen anything like it, and as long as they want me, I'll keep doing shows. But right now, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy.
I'm so glad to hear that. What is a normal schedule like for you with that theater, from like in between productions? Do you have any time off to, go and vacation or go back home and relax a little bit? Or is it just moving from one production to the next?
I would say with this one, it's we go from March 8th to December 31st. That's the time span. And so like we will get like half a month in January to kind of just sit and chill and learn our stuff and all that. And but then we're right back into rehearsing, because again, these shows are so technical that it just you have to get started early.
Yeah.
You know,
Do
I
you have multiple shows that you're learning during that time off? Or is it just the next show that you're learning?
It's just the next show. But we have like our understudies and backups too, because with such a massive cast, there's just we have like our primary David has about like 4 or 3 people underneath him, just in case if he gets sick. So just in between. We're learning our primary stuff and just tons of other characters.
So when you're getting into that um, performance time or the production time prior to the performance, because we all know what the performance is like. It's like going in to the office every day, and suiting up and going in and doing the show. But what's the production time frame and what's the production like?
I'll say a week, a schedule for a week usually is we have two shows from Tuesday to Friday, and then we'll have a 3 show day on Saturday. That's the basic schedule that we have. And we'll start our day like, on the usual 2 show day, we'll start from 2:30 and we'll probably end at 10:15. We'll have that break, dinner break and all that, but that's pretty much we're in the theater for that time. And performance wise, it's just kind of like it depends on the production. Like, so this show in particular, it's very fight choreo. It's very active. Where Esther, it's very just pageantry. It's where it's very theatrical compared to David. Um, but I mean, we're dancing a lot in David, and so it's a very rigorous, show. But I mean, it's honestly kind of easier. I don't know how to explain it, but like David was so much easier than Esther. I don't know why. Yeah.
Yeah. So how many weeks are you in production before you actually start mounting the show for an audience? What's the production timeline?
So like so middle of January around there, we'll start music rehearsal, and we'll be in there for about a week, and then the next few weeks will be just like a lot of blocking and choreo and all that, because meanwhile we can't really work on the stage because they're working mostly on
Like,
building the set.
yeah.
They're building the set, and so we'll be like a month in of production when we finally get to set foot on the stage. Where like compared uh, with Esther was built. I mean, it was an entire city built around you. Where this one, it's still grand and it's huge, but it's very minimal because we're using a lot of like LED screen in the background, so it's very minimal. So this one we were able to get in pretty early on to work on the stuff, but I would say like the last 3 weeks is us just working on
Mm.
tech stuff. We'll start mostly it's audio integration to kind of just get the vibe, of like speakers and all this, where the trouble or blind spots, is. Then we move to animals. Animals is a long day because we have animals run through the aisle, we have them walking across the stage, animals, all of that. And so that's a full day of us just trying to get them comfortable on stage and make sure that they're they feel safe. That's the animal team's time to get them ready.
And I'm
You
sure that
know,
you feel safe too, depending on what,
yeah.
what's going on around you.
There's some animals that are like, okay, we got calm down, calm. There's times we have to back up, but the animal team really they work with them that entire rehearsal process to get them ready, and you, for the most part, it goes without a hitch.
How do you stay vocally healthy? What is your routine, if you will, maybe before a production or when you get into those times where, it's just a sickness season? What's your go-to thing to keep yourself vocally healthy?
With our schedule, they build in like vocal warm-ups and all that, but I have a vocal mister that I just like take like a little couple of drops. It looks like a little corn cup pipe kind of thing. And, I missed up every morning. And this year, I'll tell you, the allergies have been awful, awful. Like I thought I was going to lose my voice, and a lot of our cast did. And those misters, they were our friends
Mm.
because, man, it was bad. But you know, it seems like first show it kind of gets you more warmed up,
Mm.
but like by the second show, you're just like, let's sing, come on, let's sing,
Yeah. Yeah.
But like after all that, I usually like gargle with salt water just to kind of calm things down, and just vocally just go, that sort of thing.
That's great. That is so great that you do that. It's smart because as much singing as you're doing on stage, depending on the season, it is a real thing to trying to keep well, and keep your voice strong and healthy. Do you take voice, or do you go to do you have any doctors that are nearby that you do check-ins with twice a year? Do you do anything like that?
No, not usually. We do have uh certain people in our cast, they in their spare time they like to do vocal training and all that. Our music director, he does a lot of vocal lessons with our cast members if they really want to expand on their repertoire, or just like if there's an audition, like I go to him all the time when it comes to audition season, and just helps me out.
It's not
Yes.
like they know who they're already casting. You still go through an audition process then, even though they have kind of their team of people.
Yes. It's usually with the cast, the inner, like, the cast in general, they have like callback sheets
Mhm.
where it's like, oh, we know what you can do, but let's see you in this character. Let's see you in this character. So they usually have like a packet of like, hey, we want you to read for this character and all that. And general auditions, yeah, you have to bring in a song and all that. It is a year contract. So usually our audition time is like, I'm trying to remember, like in July. So we're auditioning for that next show in July while we're finishing up our next contract. So it's we'll find out in October if we'll get in or not. And so we
Okay.
have like November to December to kind of figure out like, okay, what's my next step?
Right.
Uh,
So you have
with
to be hired back. You have
Yeah,
to audition and you have to be hired back for that next season. And
yes,
so it's not a guarantee that just because you're part of the cast this year that you're going to be recast next year.
right.
If you're doing sight and sound, it doesn't sound like there's much time for you to do anything else on the side, or is there?
I wouldn't say so. I've known some people that balance doing like um this one guy I know, he does a lot of like direct Shakespeare shows,
Mhm.
and they like balance it out like early mornings right before we have to come in, they're doing rehearsal for that show. So technically you can, there's not a lot of free time to be able to be like, oh, I want to go and do this musical. Just can't hang, you can't do it.
Did you notice anything from going to maybe the smaller productions and the smaller companies to a bigger company? Was there anything that was really glaringly obvious from going to from maybe a less professional group to a more professional setting?
Yeah, I with going into Science Sound, like take Adam's Family compared to me going to Science Sound, it was um, everybody knew what they were they were doing. I mean, like it was just kind of like, all right, you're going to go to this person and learn the fight choreo. Okay, you're going to go to this person because there's this boat scene that you have to ride the boat a few times to feel how like feel it move underneath you.
Mhm.
Safety is one of their highest standards, because I mean it, it can be dangerous. It's not, but it could be.
What has been your personal greatest triumph, do you feel, to this point in your career?
I feel more of like a legit actor, because I feel like going from Uncle Fester, who's like this, and I talk like this, to doing something that was so emotional, just to the crucifixion and the resurrection and all that. There was such a groundedness about being in that production that I just felt like this is I'm not only touched by this, but I feel like I'm like putting myself out there emotionally to the crowd, the audience. So I feel like I've just grown so much as an actor, and even confidence of like, I can do that. I can do this.
Well, I'm sure it's exciting too to get a paid gig. And
Mhm.
as we say in the business, you can be everywhere once, but
Yeah,
the goal is to get those people to want to hire you back, you know.
yeah.
And so that seems like it would just be a big validation point. And speaking of that, how do you feel like the support and the training and the things that you got leading up to being a professional um, singing actor in the business, how do you feel like that supported you?
There's a sense of uh, joy and being more prepared and just be how do I say it, like from becoming a boy to a man in the sense of an actor, where coming from like a small town that's doesn't do theater and all that, to doing something like this, it's just you have to grow, I feel like when I first started as a kid, I was so stiff. I was like, my hands were just like this the entire time, and it had to take loosening up. That's what I've always been told: loosen up, have fun with it. And that was always something that I had to. I struggled with it because I was so unsure about myself. Like I knew, like, oh, I can sing good, but there was so much more to it. Regret wise, I wish that I put myself out there more. I wish that, because again, my insecurity, I was just like, there's productions that I was like, oh, I want to do that. I really want to do that, but I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know if I can do that or if they're gonna like me. So that's my biggest regret, is just being able to put myself out there, because I feel like I could have grown so much more if I just, you know, been more, strong and more confident in my abilities. In auditions, I feel like you have to catch their eye and to put yourself out there and to kind of just loosen up.
Mhm.
That's what gets you further in the world, I think.
So is that something that you would say to a young person starting out who has a really good voice and a desire to do this? Just take more of the opportunities that you see before you.
Yes, absolutely. Because you're going to see so much more in that than just kind of being like, well, I guess if the opportunity comes, then I guess I'll take it. Because I mean, auditioning for like Adam's Family, or me being like, well, I guess I'll audition for Sight and Sound. It was kind of, it was like, I don't know, but I guess I'll do it. If I didn't do it, then what would I be doing? I'd probably be doing substitute teaching still.
Mhm.
It's that confidence you need.
What made you take that leap of faith? You just saw this ad for this audition and you thought, what the heck? I'll just see what happens. I'll throw spaghetti to the wall and see if it sticks. Is that kind of where you were? Or did you feel kind of like that might be your niche?
I've always grown up with Sight and Sound at Branson. I've watched every show that they've done there, from their first production of Noah to Samson, and I just loved it. because I mean, to see my mom sitting there crying beside me from what she's looking at, it's kind of like, I want to do that. I don't want to make my mom cry, but but I want to be able to share that emotion. It was just kind of that right moment that I was just something. I don't know if God was speaking to me or what, but it was just kind of like, send an audition tape. Just send something. Just just try.
So what did you send for your audition?
I sent um I sent a monologue. I forgot what it was. I forgot what the monologue was, but it was a comedic monologue. It was about this therapist talking to this woman about her obsession with cats. It was this huge thing about she's
Biblical.
what.
So biblical.
I know, but I was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't have any Christian monologues that just really speak. I'm just like, I'm just gonna throw out my what I do best, and that's comedy. But what I picked for my song though was uh, where "How Glory Goes" from Floyd Collins the musical. The song is about him talking to God, and he's like asking, like, because he's trapped in this cave and all that, and he's like, just like, hey, if I'm going to die, what is heaven going to look like? What is it going to be like? And so that was the song I chose for, my audition tape.
I know that you want to be singing and acting with them forever, but do you see yourself going into other roles with them, like say like directing something or becoming kind of a supervisor of any of these productions that they do?
Wherever the Lord takes me, I mean, I have never thought about directing or being a supervisor because I can't really supervise myself sometimes. If ever an opportunity came, I would be happy and thrilled to try it, at least to see if I could.
How many roles do you usually play in a show? Is it usually just one, or do you swing with many others?
Gosh, that depends on the character. That depends on the character. David, if you're not David, you're going to be doing something the entire time. But yeah, like, gosh, I would say like maybe 7 to 8 characters that I'm just back and forth changing out of. Costume changes, that's our big thing. We do a lot, and there is a lot of costume because those some of those costumes, they are heavy. They're gorgeous, don't get me wrong, they're gorgeous, but man, they are heavy sometimes.
How do you cope with that? Are you just sweating terribly, profusely underneath those robes?
I have a fan. I have a nice little fan that I put my face right up next to and go, thank you, Lord. Just, but there's good days and bad days. When it's hot outside, it's going to be hot in that theater sometimes, and when it's cold, it's still going to be hot.
Right, right. Because I've got the heat turned up for everybody else's comfort, but not
Yeah,
yours.
but yeah, those sometimes there's good and bad days with those costumes, but you know,
Has there been anything that's ever gone like horribly wrong on stage that you're like, oh my gosh, you know, anything that like set wise has been almost a tragedy?
gosh, I don't think of anything as a tragedy. I'll tell you one thing that I did that was so was funny. So I went in for Carcass. There's this guy who goes to one of the eunuchs that go to Vashti, and asks for her to come to the king's party. And I go out there. I forgot my mic, and so I'm the only person that's talking in that scene. So I'm like, I get down, and they reveal that's me, and they, the king asks, like, where is she? Where's Vashti? And I go, she said she's not coming. So, and people roared laughing because it's just me just going, she's not here. And usually I do like a scream, like because I'm scared of the king,
I
and so I like really just went for it. And I don't know if anybody heard me, but there must have been somebody because they were laughing. I don't know if they're laughing at me or scream.
have you had any other things go wrong with like the set pieces or anybody else that you were like, whoa?
Oh, we were Jesus. We have this mound, and it was going fine. It usually goes up stage.
Mhm.
Well, he's Jesus is starting to preach and all that, and it's we have like wheels underneath it. All of a sudden, we heard this horrible sound. We're like, what was that? What was that? And even the Jesus guy kind of stopped a little bit, and we are just sitting there, and then the mound that it was like this really long stage length mound just stops, just abruptly stops, and then the guy comes over the bit, over the audience, like, ladies and gentlemen, we're having technical difficulties. I guess it ran over some kind of like, I don't know if it was just
Nail or
some
a screw or
or something, but it caught it and it stopped it. We were down for like 30 minutes of us just waiting for it to get that wheel back on track because
oh
it
my
really it was horrible sound. But yeah, that's been one of the craziest. And then we've had one where it was we're doing uh Reflections of Persia, and we have music that is kind of pre-recorded for the orchestra and all that. We sing live, but we have the orchestra that's pre-recorded. We had this stint of time where the audio board would crash or something. Well, this time we're singing a reflection of perfection, and the music just starts going,
oh no.
and it just cuts off, and we're a lovely figure and complexion.
Do you usually see full houses for all of your shows?
Yes, especially with this one, we've had sold out nights like almost every night.
Wow.
We've like, well, 3:30 to 7:30, we've had them sold out. And we'll have those like brief periods of time where it's kind of like slowed down because kids are back at school and all that. But like when July hits and June, that's when it's going to pick back up, and it's going to pick back up because I mean this show has been like sold out. It's crazy.
What's it like meeting the public after one of these productions?
It's it's actually really funny because we have this big blushing cheeks, and we got these really defined shadows on our cheekbones and all that, and really uh, dark eyebrows. And so we're we go out there, I go out and get like something from the concessions, and people are
So you
like,
guys go out there and get something from concessions
yeah,
and
we're not
people
costume,
in
but
your full costume and makeup.
yeah, sometimes somebody catches like, were you in the production? That really just touched my heart. It's that's my favorite production. I've seen a lot, but that's my favorite. It's they're very just gracious and just loving.
I would imagine that there's a difference in the way the energy that you feel from the crowd, the audience when you're performing for them as opposed to other productions maybe that you've been in. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I'll say that for like Jesus in particular, we had so many people just random, not randomly, but there'd be just something that was of scripture, and somebody just yell out hallelujah, and praise the Lord, or just like even just people just raising their hands up and worshiping with us. It's just so, it's like we're having church right there, and it's like they almost forget it's like we're at a theater, which is good. That's the point.
Mhm.
And we're excited to see that. I love to, at the finale, just people just kind of closing their eyes and praising. It's just, it's like that's what we're looking for. That's what we're doing it for.
I know that your dad preaches,
Yes,
your
yes.
grandfather preaches. And do you have any aspirations of preaching at all?
I do not. I don't think I'd
It's
be.
your way of preaching, right?
But yeah, no, that's what my grandfather said. He said to me, he's like, being a small town preacher, he's like, you're getting a congregation that I've only would imagine, I would only have dreamed about, and you're doing that every single day, getting to minister to these people, and it's amazing that in a way I'm not a preacher, but I am preaching the gospel. So yeah, in a way, I am kind of preacher.
Right. You're bringing that story alive for so many people and maybe hitting them in a way that they, haven't experienced before. And
Yeah,
so, you're deepening their relationship with Christ and deepening their understanding of the word. And I think that's a really important thing for
yes.
believers for sure. And I know that your family must be so proud of you. And I know that they've been to see you numbers of times. Do any of them ever give you any critiques when they see your work?
It's funny because we have 50 plus people up on that stage, and you're far enough away that you can't really tell somebody, like, but my grandma's like, I saw you on the stage left side, and you were going crazy. I'm like, I was on the stage right for that scene, Granny.
Mhm.
And she's, she's like, oh, well, I'm sure you did a really great job. But that's the neat thing, that it just kind of like you're it's not you, but you're a part of that story in a way.
Mhm.
But I haven't got anything. As far as I know, unless they're hiding it from me, they've usually told me I've been doing pretty good.
What's the next chapter for you? I know that you're really happy being at Sight and Sound and doing what you're doing, but is there something that you are thinking about doing on the horizon, or do you have other aspirations aside of what you're doing right now?
I mean, right now I am just pretty comfortable. I'm just kind of living right now as like, day by day, show by show. And, I'm also auditioning for Pennsylvania shows. So, who knows if I might even go to Pennsylvania. Just, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just pretty content right now.
That's incredible. Do you still have aspirations of working on Broadway?
Oh, I mean, I would love to work on Broadway. I mean, if the opportunity ever strikes, I probably would love to, try that. But, you know, it just takes that time.
Do you still sing big band repertoire? Do you still sing any of your old songs, or do you go back to any of that? Do you get any opportunity to sing any of that old rep?
No, no, I haven't. It's been kind of a dry well with those songs, but I'm always singing them when I'm back at home. right before, like during dinner or lunch, I'm just kind of like here jamming out, singing those songs because my heart, I still love those songs. I absolutely adore them. And so I keep them, I might keep them dusty. I'll sing them somehow, but you know.
Well, it was good talking to you, Caleb, and we're just loving what you're doing, and hope you're, obviously it seems that you're doing quite well, and things are going well for you, and we couldn't be happier about that. We just are so thrilled to catch up with you today.
Thank you. Thank you.